The Bible says Enoch walked with God and he had a family. I think that was the most profound thing for me. The fact that Enoch walked with God and had a family. Contrary to what people believe being spiritual is, he didn't have to be locked up in a mountain. As a consequence of him walking with God, he is able to multiply. And then comes the part where Enoch walked with God and he was not for. So he was able to walk to a point where in that relationship the him disappeared. And the co-joining, he came to a place of no return. And God had no other choice. He had to be taken up. But he's not gone. That word walk with God means he was at pace with God. He walked in the rhythm of God. He discovered a rhythm and he made sure he consistently was there. I found out that Adam's grandchildren or Adam's children were alive in the time of Noah. And if you study the genealogy and the years and all of that, and the most fascinating thing is, Enoch would have had several moments where he would have bothered Adam. The first reference for walking with God in the cool of the day. So he had to go to a teaching priest and still find out what happened. But there comes a point where he learns to decode his life to a point his spirit is developed, to a point his mortality is no longer required. And it's a little confusing for me sometimes because he is still a mortal, yet his mortality is not required of him anymore. He takes on another image and likeness now. Just by walking with God. It makes you question what walking with God is like. What is walking in pace? The interesting thing is walking with God required a pace, a rhythm. It required a union. It required a marriage. So his marriage of walking with God resulted with the conception of children. And he is able to have a family. He is able to have children. Not the way people have children here. Back then, if you see the way they had children, it was a nation. By the time of Noah, Adam would have had close to more than 1 million descendants. That's a very rough, tiny estimate. They flooded the whole earth. So though they took that commandment seriously, but for me, what was fascinating for me is that aspect of him having a family, having a children, did not affect his walk with God, but was a result of his walk with God. So the idea that you can have a family, you can have a children and still walk with God like Enoch is thrilling to me. The idea that you can have, you don't need children to be locked up in one corner to be spiritual. You can still have children and your pace with God is not affected. Because everyone wants to be, and he was not, for God took him. But before that, he's able to be on earth and still walk with God. That is fascinating for me. The fact that you can have a spouse and your spirituality is not affected. Did you enjoy last week? Yeah, we were talking about the gospel of the Son of God. The sons of God.